All right, how's everybody doing? Uh, got some cars for the month of February and the month of March. Kind of a tweener month, and figured we'd start with these monster trucks. And this one here, uh, this is the lion's share uh, Hot Wheels monster truck, and I liked the Art Deco on it, so I left the lion decals on it because, or I guess they call them tampos. Um, there was no reason to change it, and this is a Rutherford monster truck, so it's all about firepower from a high standpoint. So we've got the rockets, and we've got this fellow back here who's a null I 3D printed, and he's got himself a little shotgun for close quarters combat. And not sure what name him yet, but uh, yeah. So I still just leave it with the lion's share. I think it's funny having a hyena mutant on the back of a lion monster truck. Seems like a Rutherford thing to do, as far as that goes. You hire a mutant to basically sit in one of the most dangerous spots possible while this thing's cruising around. But I really do like the Hot Wheels monster trucks. How it's got this kind of like chassis flex to it. I usually do like to keep mine rollers. So it might be a pain to put this on the table, keep it straight, because it does want to roll really well. But I can't, unless it's 3D printed wheels. I usually, where I have to glue them together. Yeah, so I like how this one turned out. It's pretty simple, but and filed away the Hot Wheels logos on the tires, and I was basically taking a Dremel with a sanding disc and just stuck it in there and flattened it. This one I left the BKT, because that's actually a real world tire company. So I'm not sure if BKT was around in like the 90s. They probably were, because Gaslands is mostly 90s, early 2000s timeline, with a lot of the vehicles being from the 80s and further back. But so this is the Monster Jam brand monster trucks, and they're very similar to the Hot Wheels ones. But like I said, I like the real world branding. This was originally the Mohawk Warrior monster truck, but painted it pink and blue. Not sure what I want to call this one yet. This is a Verney monster truck, as you can tell by the thrower. And we've got a little something for throwing stuff. There it is. Sorry if I can't look what I'm holding, but there's this vending machine I printed off to fit here, and it don't fit quite as well as I'd hoped. So I can also use the vending machine as a 3D printed terrain to smack into, but or I could just put it outside of a building. But anyway, that was the idea, was it would throw a vending machine at people. And you got this guy here who is belted into his seat, and he's kind of the mechanic making sure that the sludge thrower works. And you got the napalm dropper. So yeah, it's basically the kind of monster truck that it doesn't do the ramming as much. It's still a heavyweight vehicle, so it still can quite will flatten most things. But the idea is to use the up and over to get to interesting spots on the table, and then fling stuff. And so yeah, that's basically what we're doing here. And you got the driver in there, and all of my vehicles have drivers. If you can see in the vehicle, they have a driver. And so then we got this one. This is for my highway patrol. I originally made this one to sell, but I think I want to keep this one. Mostly because the thrift store I got this vehicle from was destroyed by Helene. So I just feel like keeping it. I got this vehicle when my dad was still in the hospital before he passed, and so I was originally just going to use this as a quick sale vehicle, but I think I'm going to keep this one. And so yeah, that bar there came off another the light bar came off a Matchbox car. The rockets is a 3D printed for Twisted Metal's Warthog, and then just used baking soda and super glue to kind of make the weld lines. And I didn't have a dog, 3D printed dog, but there is a 3D printed cat in the back. There you go. And you can see a good picture of him. Yeah, it's so hard to get a good picture of this stuff in the windows. But yeah, big orange tabby. So it's a canine unit, but they have an attack cat, which I do with that on a lot of vehicles, but I can't help myself because I'm a cat person. And then I've got this one, which is going to be put up on the store. And this one's a little bit more simple. Machine gun, harpoon ram, typical truck, and a very good highway patrol setup. So you can harpoon people and then pit them into things, or however you want to play the game. It's very simple build. And then there's this one. I kind of sit on the fence about whether or not I'm going to sell this one or not, but I like the Crown Victoria, so it's got a Crown Vic. It's got a front ram, and yeah, little hood scoop. And again, a lot of police cars, I leave the paint scheme alone on them because there's no reason to change them, and there's no reason to fix what ain't broke. But what I did do was I had these Hummer wheels, and so it was a what was it? It was a Jada dub truck. It was that one. So that was my car of the month for a long time ago for the cleaning build. And so yeah, these were actually the original wheels that came off of that Hummer. And so I had them kicking around. And so I used a lift kit and then some straws to make the shocks. So this is a 4x4 sort of cruiser highway patrol vehicle. And it's got napalm droppers at the back. And so... And the screen for the windows and everything is literally screen door material. Because I said it in one video, so if you haven't seen me say it in this one, my dog ran through the storm door and took the material off. And so, yeah, I ended up salvaging it and cutting it up into little squares for Gaslands. So, couldn't be too mad at the dog. And then here's the last of the highway patrol. This is actually an odd one because this casting is a Matchbox casting. But I found it at Rose's and it was in a police setup box. I had like a helicopter and a few little other things, and but it wasn't Matchbox. It's like it doesn't have a casting at all name to it. So it's as far as I know, this is a pirated version of a Matchbox casting, and so I had no problem just chopping it up and putting some better wheels on it. Actually, I was going to the wheels that are on it actually goes on another build 'em show, and they look better in my opinion. This one here, I just kind of tossed the Matchbox wheels on it because I think, it looked okay, and this one's going to the store. So it's got this big chin-mounted 125. So you imagine it feeds the shells down, and then boom. You could also use this as a BFG if you wanted, and I think it would make a good BFG highway patrol vehicle. And so yeah, this is the one. This is the wheels that came on that vehicle. Goes on this one. I put it on this one, and you can see that they're hollow wheels. They're cheap wheels, but from the outside you can't tell. And I like the massive metal dish look to them. So you got the little Empire Warhammer sigil there, and this is one of those Zuru Jeeps. It's not a true Jeep, but it looks like a Jeep. So this is another Rutherford vehicle. It's got the 125 cannon, and you got nail art decals for the little tiger on the doors. And so yeah, and you got Dexter Industries. If you know, you know. If you don't know, well, there's a game called Hitman Absolution, and that's the bad guys corporation. And he's hilarious in a lot of ways. Wonderfully evil and just funny. And perfect over-the-top villain. Game is a pain in the ass, though. Fun up until like the last level, but still it's a pain in the ass. And then there's this vehicle. This one I'm still experimenting on how to make a candy apple color. So this is a gold base with basically a red ink wash, and so this one's for my Beverly team, and it's a minigun, and it's got smoke droppers at the rear. And the funny thing is Jim Silva was unboxing one of these super twin mills, and I said that the perfect thing to do would be put a minigun here and then a dropper at the back. And I had actually forgotten about that statement. And when I did the unboxing video of mine, I realized I said the exact same thing, was a minigun right down the center line and a dropper would be perfect for this car. And so what I did was I tweaked that idea a little bit and decided to go side rams, minigun, and smoke dropper for this performance car. And so the side rams are button blades and then rhinestones. So cover up the obvious Hot Wheels center posts, and 3D printed minigun, and then use popsicle sticks to kind of make this like twisted, spiky aperture, and then the rest is nail art decals, and then there's the skull here that I made a custom decal sheet with. I found the image and made a decal sheet out of it. And so yeah, I love how this one turned out. This is a beautiful, sinister vehicle. And this here is its teammate. This is the ghost vehicle that accompanies it. And this is my February car of the month build. And so you can see it's the same paint scheme as this car. But this one is more heavily weathered. It's rustier, it's dustier. You know, it's the ghost vehicle. And there's no driver in it. And this is the only time I have ever made one of these vehicles where there isn't a driver inside of it. And that's because like I said, it's a ghost vehicle, so there wouldn't be a driver. And the highlight of this vehicle is this here, because the theme of the February car of the month build was "Till Death Do Us Part." And I had this printed out. I was going to use it as terrain. I was going to stick it somewhere cheesy and, you know, get a good laugh out of it, I guess. But the whole "Till Death Do Us Part" theme, I think that this works out a lot better. I think this is definitely one of those times where it's so dark and funny, and yeah, it's definitely got like a Fallout vibe to it. So yeah, you got this rusted drag truck, and you got the beat up improvised sledge thrower at the top. So it's, you know, it's still a operational vehicle for the game. But and you see here, this textured paint turned out really good. You can actually feel it. It feels like actual rust. I'm really happy with how this vehicle turned out. Again, I don't know if I'll ever win, but eh. And I've got one more. I'm not quite as happy with how this one turned out, but so this is the biker that goes with him, and he's got a pink skull. This is Dark Cupid, and so I found these Cadian bikers on Thingiverse, and I scaled them down to Gaslands scale, and then printed them. And they didn't quite print out that well, at least as well as I'd hoped they would. But once the paint went on them, played with them a little bit, they look okay in my opinion. They're good for gaming pieces, and for the purposes that I'm going to use them for. So, and the pink skull, it didn't work out as well as I'd hoped it would. I was kind of trying to make it look, you know, Valentine's-y. But yeah, that's the team. I like how like I said, I really like how the truck turned out. The truck turned out fantastic. The car turned out fantastic too. But like, that's okay. But then we got this one here. This was another car I was going to put out for sale, but I think I'm going to keep it for my Warden team. I forget what that little bird is called, but it's a Firebird. So I just tossed that little bird nail art there on that. So I think that's a sparrow or a thrush. So that's probably what I would call this, is a sparrow. Sparrow or thrush or something. I'm not sure what that little bird actually is. But basically, it's a Warden vehicle with a bazooka, oil slick dropper at the back, you know. It's there to cause hazards. And this was my attempt at making a candy orange. It didn't go well. I still can't get orange to work well. I know people said tried brown as a base coat, try pink as a base coat. It still does not work that well. And you're trying to get a metallic gloss look, and it didn't work. But at least the weathering made it look like it kind of got burned on the front, and I like how that turned out. So, and then we got this one here. I did the 43, so had to do Pete Hamilton's, and This one, the hood of it got broken off and lost somewhere, so I reconstructed the hood out of a yogurt lid, and then I added the hood scoop with the machine guns on it. And so the Richard Petty 43 Superbird has a rear-mounted minigun. So this one has the front-mounted heavy machine guns, so they can catch, an opponent between them and give them trouble. So I like how this one turned out. And it rolls too. Rubber tires, it doesn't really want to roll too fast though, so it's just kind of like, And again, this is another one is I like how the weathering turned out on it. Really happy with how that turned out. And so I've got a Bobby Allison in that team with these two. I might make another one of these. If I can find a 42 milli yellow and use that as Kyle Petty. That'd make a good team, I think. But for now, this is how I like how it looks right now. And so then we got this one here for the store. This one is basically another NASCAR vehicle. Again, there's no reason to change the cool stuff like the sponsorship and everything. And I think this is a headache medicine. So, this car would be good for giving people a headache. It's got a turret-mounted combat laser, and you just run it as a performance car with a roll cage. And I like using the NASCAR cars, especially for warden teams, since they'd be lighter armored, and you can flavor the roll cage as being part of the prison cell. So I think that works out well. And this is another one for the store. Another one I don't really know what to call it yet, but I mean, once I sell it, someone can call it whatever they want to. But basically, front-mounted mortar, tank track, or you could say that's a bazooka. And then you got the guy with the submachine gun. And he's got, trying to make it look like one of those World War II bomber jackets. So there's like a killer bee image on there, along with the snake imagery, and so, yeah. The tank track things came off of that Final Faction robot thing, and then I just used some armor plating and stuff on that Hummer. And this one here, now this one I really like. I'm really happy with how it turned out. But this is the Postman Mark II, because I originally made a Postman and I sold it. And but this is the actual Grumman vehicle, where the other one was a Hot Wheels bread box with the U.S. Post Office tampos. But this one here is for slime. It's got a front-mounted rim and rockets. I'm running it as an ice cream truck. And so really happy with how the weathering turned out on this one. It looks rough. It looks beat up. But it looks like it's the kind of vehicle that just keeps going no matter what. And yeah, really happy with how this one looks. And you got the Postman in there with his pistol. And then you've got, it's kind of hard to see here, but there's a whole stack of packages and everything on the side of him there. So, yeah, really happy with that vehicle. And then there's this one. I've got two Chevy Nova SS's Hot Wheels. And they've got like a camo shark's mouth imagery. One's kind of a pink camo, one's kind of a green. So I call them Warthog and Razorback. I don't know what I'm going to call this one. Gunslinger, and some kind of pig. I don't know yet. But twin minigun. It's a Nova. And so you can see that I didn't have the door-sized ones for the shark's mouth, but I did have these itty bitty ones. And I had the Green Stuff World decal for the little eyes, so it's a little off scale, but I still like this one. The white plus the weathering looks really good. I somehow got some paint on the window there, the little side window. So I'm gonna scrape that off later, because that shouldn't be there. But overall, it's not that big of a deal. Then you got the 327 Turbo Fire. If I did my research correctly, this being a 60, it's either 66 or 68 for my vision. They had the 327 on there, and I had the decal, so I used that. And so that's why that's there. I could be wrong. But it's Gasland, so it's fantasy, so maybe they did. Yeah, they did. The Gasland's wrong. And this is another car for sale. This is another Zuru that I customized up and decaled out, and so it's Green Demon kind of car. And basically a big bazooka or heavy machine gun, whatever you want to run it as. And then you got a Bic lighter wheel for the dropper at the back. So you can imagine this thing spins out and the cap falls off, and then all the goodies spill out onto the track. And so then we've got one more highway patrol. I forgot about this one. Another highway patrol vehicle. This is a little bit of a non-traditional paint scheme for highway patrol because it's the gold instead of, black or blue. So this is kind of a command vehicle, your police chief guy. But front-mounted chainsaw, rear-mounted laser blaster, oil dropper, or nitro to get this Pontiac Bonneville up to top speed. As rusty and beat up as it is, it's also kind of a scary idea to have a Pontiac Bonneville coming at you with nitrous. But, yeah, little exhaust on the bottom. And, yeah, I like this one. This one turned out good. I'm happy with that one, so... then we've got these two. This is also for a Beverly build. So these are Ghost Bikers. I've got a vehicle I call the Green Knight, so this is Guywan and Percival for the Knights of the Round kind of deal. Again, they're former Cadian bikers that I shrank down and then chopped their heads off and then used rhinestone caps to make their little gold crowns. And I like the little lances and everything. So, basically, they'd be good. Beverly vehicles, armor plating to help them survive, and then, well, maybe a drop weapon or two, I'm not sure. But probably just, smoke or something. Because they're there just to pawn damage off of the primary vehicle. Because the Green Knight's a truck, and so, I like how these turned out. And then the last of the Warhammer 40k vehicles shrank down is this one. This one I call Stab Happy. This is a slime bike. And even though it shrank down, the head is actually from a Escher, 28mm Escher, but it looks right almost on scale. It's a little big. I mean, really, it is bigger than what it should be. But it looks good. As far as the actual look of the bike, I mean, you look from like this angle, it looks right almost. So I kept it that way. But this one's very simple. It's a black bike, red trim, and then metal. Silver metal, dark metal, leather, leggings, and interior armor. This is basically somebody that wants to stab everybody. She wants to stab everybody. So then I got this one here. There's another one I was going to sell, and I kind of got attached to it. This is a Studebaker I call the Bullet Hell Shooter. So it's got rear-mounted double heavy machine guns, front-mounted heavy machine guns, shotgun. You know, if you know what a bullet hell shooter is, you kind of can imagine, this going down the road against swarms of enemies. And they could run this as a turret, if I got the cans to do it, because this is magnetized. So can do that. So yeah, basically again, I kept the paint scheme from the original Hot Wheels car. Just took some alcohol and wiped off the Hot Wheels logo, and it's done. As far as that goes. As far as paint scheme, and then of course I had to paint the interior and the people and the guns and the dude and the wheels, because the wheels are 3D printed wheels. And still had to put a lot of work into it, so I'm happy with how it turned out. And then there's one more highway patrol. I keep forgetting I actually did a bunch of highway patrols this month. So this is a 32 Ford that's been really customized up. It's a buggy bazooka and steel nets. And don't discount the bazooka because it's only 3d6 damage. Those hazards add up, especially when you pair it with a steel net. And when you're talking about a buggy going against, performance cars, other buggies and bikes, they're not going to be too happy with you putting even 2 and 3 hazards and damage on top of that from bazooka, and then watching them flip. So, yeah, it's a highway patrol build for sure, because it's meant to maximize hazards and cause your opponent to wipe out and then drive on by them. And then so you got the snake decals, and then more rhinestone armor plating, and this blower here. And again, this one I think I said it turned out really well. That's a 40K rocket launcher. I just chopped the Marine's arm off of it, and then where I kind of cut too much of it out, I used yogurt metal and just wrapped it up. Looks pretty good. So, yeah, really like how that turned out. And then we've got for Maple Leaf Customs, they're doing the pay it forward with the Porsches, and I know they love Porsches, so this is my Porsche for that. And I haven't figured out who I'm going to actually give it to just yet. It's probably going to be somebody in my gaming group, and probably the person that always gives me a ride to gaming. So it's probably going to be his vehicle more than anybody. That's who I'm leaning towards giving that to. So yeah, this is the Rainbow Unicorn. It's got a massive laser arc lightning cannon thingy on the front, ram, and rocket thrusters. So yeah, it's a weird vehicle, but I like how it turned out, and I like how the yellow and the metallic pink and the blue all kind of blend together. And yeah, so this is a vehicle I'm giving away to somebody. It's probably going to go to someone in my game group, because that and I don't have a lot of money to go shipping it off to, and plus I got to figure out who I'm going to give it to within 2 days, so there's that. But definitely giving it away, so there's that. And then there's the 2 vehicles I am the most happy with, and that's this 49 Drag Mercury, and this one, the idea I got for the paint scheme of it was based on a real paint scheme for the Mercury, but it wasn't this metallic. It's a light green bottom with a dark green top, and I really liked how this looked. And there was a guy in the Gaslands Facebook page. He did a 49 Mercury that was, I mean, just absolutely stellar. And I was like, I want to do one too. So this is what this one is. This is an Idris vehicle, and it's got the rear-mounted harpoon and the napalm droppers. So basically, the idea is to take this one and crack the nitrous, get out ahead, and then when you get out ahead and get to the first gate, drop the napalm, and then drag some poor sap through it with the harpoon. And so the green metallic was a mix of a Christmas green and a black pearl metallic. And then the green here was a peridot kind of color. And I like how that turned out. And then I've got the temporary tattoo thing on the top of the roof. My brother says he doesn't like it, and I kind of understand where he's coming from. But because it ripped when I was trying to put it down, and so I had to use a little bit of a rust spot there to hide where it ripped. But that's one of the fun things about a temporary tattoo is you can, wherever it does rip or it doesn't set right, you can turn around and use it as battle damage. And then I got a bunch of cars for the Christmas Gaslands UK Christmas thing, and one of them was this little Hino Contessa. So this is for my Miyazaki team, and it's got a minigun and tank tracks. Probably gonna run it as a buggy, and get the armor plates and everything. And the tank tracks came off of a Caterpillar Christmas ornament. And so once I hollowed out that, the car fit almost perfectly in there. There's a itty bitty bit of a gap there. But the hatch at the top is how the drivers get in and out, because the doors are blocked by the massive tank tracks. So, you know, they got the green lights for like a night vision setup. So yeah, I like how this one turned out. I really do. This one really looks good. Might call it the Falcon or Falcon Arrow. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's it for February, March. The next Gaslands UK theme is marching on. So I gotta make a vehicle that walks. I don't know if I'm gonna get into that one or not. That's I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna do with that. But until then, if you enjoy this, like, share, subscribe. Always feel free to comment, and be sure to visit my Etsy store, King of Cats Crafts, because some of these vehicles will be appearing there as well as some other vehicles. And I do sell my builds pretty cheaply. So it always helps me out, and I really appreciate you sticking with me for what is apparently about to be 40 minutes. So I won't keep you any longer, and so thank you, be safe, and goodbye.